Welcome to the Bearded Finisher Podcast, your one-stop show for all things finishing and coatings. Your host, Zach, and a variety of industry experts will guide you through the art of perfecting your finishing and business game. From seasoned pros to fresh faces, get ready for tips, tricks, and trends to elevate your knowledge and business to the next level.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Bearded Finisher Podcast. I'm your host, Zach. Today's show, we have got Mr. Chad Khalaf with Surf Prep Sanding. What's going on, Chad?
What's happening?
Not much, man. How do you say your last name? I know I did not say it correctly.
You were actually very close. It's Khalaf.
Khalaf. Okay, sweet. All right, so just a little bit. We'll just kick things off. I mean, most everybody knows you. I mean, the surf prep guy. Everybody knows that beard. Let's just kick things off with, like, your backstory. How'd you get started in the painting business? Because I know prior to surf prep, you had your own painting company, correct?
Yep.
So tell everybody how that happened, how you got into painting, and then how your journey took you to surf prep.
All right. So, fun fact, I actually, out of high school, went to culinary school and managed restaurants and worked in kitchens for 5 different restaurants over the course of 8-9 years. And yeah, even in high school, first job, 15 years old, flipping pizzas. Went from restaurant industry and then met Hannah, my wife, and was in the restaurant industry. And I was nights, weekends. She was Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. And the schedules just really conflicted and didn't work for her.
Yeah, that makes it hard.
Yeah. So, I mean, we kind of wanted to see each other. We were young and fresh and excited, new relationship. And I was ready for change anyways. And so I said, you know what? Let's do something different. And went online, started looking for different positions, talked a lot with Skylar, her father, the owner of Surf Prep. And he just said, why don't you look into getting a sales job? That's how I started. And you've got the personality, you can learn, you're smart, you're young, you have all the time in the world, and the whole world's in front of you. And I think you'd be great in sales. So I said, okay, well, let's start looking. So went on Indeed or whatever it was I went on and found this company here locally in Southern California that was looking for an estimator and for a residential repainting contractor. And so I interviewed, ended up getting the job, and knew nothing about paint whatsoever. I mean, my background, brush, roller, got it. Wet stuff, put on the wall, okay.
It's going to dry at some point.
Put a drop cloth. Don't make a mess. If you do, clean it up.
Exactly.
I came in very green, and I learned everything from my local rep that worked for one of the local paint stores here in Southern California. And from the beginning, even to this day, 10 years later, he still calls me and just says hi. He's become a great, great friend, but he taught me everything.
So does he still work at a paint store?
He does, yeah. So he's still a rep for the same store I used to shop at. And this is an amazing human being. I mean, so genuine and caring, knowledgeable. I mean, he's worked for 3 of the main paint companies in the country over 25 years. And so he's come across just about every situation you could think of when it comes to residential repaints. And so I jumped in and spent a couple weeks shadowing the owner of the company, learning from him on how to estimate and using their software, and just hit the pavement and did a pretty decent job my first year and made a lot of mistakes and learned from those mistakes very quickly.
Don't we all?
Yes. Oh, yes. So, yeah, I did that for a couple years, and then a good friend of mine in the area. I ran into him one night out to dinner with Hannah, and he was like, "Man, I could really use some help." He's a tradesman at heart and was growing his business, but didn't have the business mindset and understanding of estimating and structure and SOPs. And I had learned that from the company I started with. I mean, the company I started with is a national franchise with probably over 400 locations now. And they have everything from top to bottom dialed in, from their SOPs to their estimating software. So when I came into the industry, I had a huge advantage. I mean, I learned from a top tier company on how to do things professionally.
That's like what my dad was in the restaurant business. So that's like when you're in the restaurant business back when we were younger, you wanted the Fridays managers because they had like the best processes and the best SOPs.
Mm-hmm.
So if you could get one of them to come over, it was like game changer because they brought all that stuff with them.
Huge. Oh, no, totally huge. And I mean, when you have structure in a business, it just makes things run so much more efficiently. It's amazing the difference it can make. Having a plan, being intentional, right? So, yeah, anyways, so I ran into my buddy one night out in Old Town Temecula, and he just said, "Hey, I would love to work together and would love to grow my business, and I need some help. Would you be interested?" And 6 months later, the time came where I needed to make a change and talk to him, and we decided to do a joint venture. So for just over 3 years, him and I worked together, and we scaled the business. We were up to 14 painters and
Wow.
doing amazing. Yeah. And it was at that point where we were both running all over the place, and we needed to start scaling the business, and stuff happens, and we didn't see eye to eye. And like a lot of partnerships, without proper communication and compromise, and that's every relationship in life, right? Not just business, but you have to communicate. You have to be willing to compromise and change and grow and adapt. Um, and we weren't able to make that happen. And we're still friends, and we decided to go our separate ways. And so I branched out and went on my own fully for the last couple of years, and it was amazing. I was rocking and rolling. The COVID years were absolute madness. I was running I was running 8 guys by myself, doing all the estimating, all the scheduling, color consults, um, everything there was besides physically painting the walls. Which sometimes I had to do that too. And if I got to jump in and help get a job done and finish spraying the last coat on the fronts of the doors, I jump in and I do it. And that's kind of just who I am as a person. When somebody needs help and something needs to get done, just do it.
Yeah, just help. I mean, share. I mean, we're all in it together. But yeah, I remember COVID times, man. COVID was in Oklahoma. It was, I mean, hit later to Oklahoma, but there was no one was not in houses. There was like maybe a week of lockdown in Oklahoma, but I mean, it was so busy. Like I don't know what it was, but it was just nonstop. We never took one day off during COVID. We were just going hardcore trying to get everything done.
We were the essential workers.
And the more people stayed in their house, the more essential we became.
Exactly. I was like, okay, stay home. I didn't have to do any marketing, doing 4, 5, 6 jobs a week,
Yep.
and just going. It was a fun time.
It was interesting, that's for sure. Something I hope we don't have to go through again. I'll say that.
No, definitely don't want to do that again.
I had a buddy that was saying it was getting close to, March 15th, about a month ago. And he was just like, it's election year. It's March 15th. Like, he's like, if something else comes up, I quit. I'm out. Like, leaving the country. Like, if we get some sort of weird alien invasion in March, like, he was just holding his breath. I'm done. I can't do it anymore.
This is getting too weird. I don't like it. I'm going to Costa Rica. bye.
Get the hell out of Dodge.
Oh yeah. No, that's what my uncle did back in the mid '90s. Stuff was weird, and I mean, he worked in the movie business in LA. He was a lead cameraman for a lot of movies, and stuff just started getting weird. And he said, "Nope, I'm out." Went to Costa Rica and hasn't been back since.
Man, I could get behind that. I see these reels that come across all the time that tell you how much if you retired in third world or other countries, Belize, Costa Rica, how much you would need, what you could afford, and I'm like, I can live there. Okay, I can save up that much money. All right, that was on the list.
Like, yeah. That sounds good.
I can do that.
But there's a lot of pros that we have here.
We do have it really well.
The grass is not always greener.
I mean, rarely is it ever.
It might be a different shade of green. Any path you go down in life, doesn't matter if you choose this fork or this fork, there's going to be a speed bump. And are you prepared for it? Did you slow down, or did you hit it at 80 miles an hour? And did you just blow your suspension? It's all choices.
Yeah,
right?
That's true. So how long did you have your painting company before you migrated over to the family business?
Okay, so I was on my own for 3 years and then merged just last year. So how this all transpired and came to be, because I am married into the family. I'm Hannah's husband. Hannah is the owner, Mary and Skylar's daughter. So in my business, I use Surf Prep all day, every day. Every one of my paint crews had at least one tool, if not two. And so I've understood the products. I've used the products. I have a very good understanding of what Surf Prep was. But then early last year in January 2023, we had a very devastating blow and lost a very incredible man named Austin Jackson. And he was a brother to you and so many others.
So, I mean, he was a great man.
Every day I talk to somebody new and they tell me their relationship with Austin and all the different ways that Austin impacted their lives and how much he just helped everybody. And it's hard to fill shoes like that. And I can never be Austin, and I never will be Austin. But after losing him suddenly last January, there was a huge hole in the company. And a month or so went by, and I thought about it one day and just kind of shoved it away. People have asked me in years past, like, why don't you go work for Surf Prep? I would go with him to events and anything that I could do, just to be part of the team and have fun. And I know secretly deep down in my heart, this was going to happen one day, and never in a million years did I want it to go down the way that it went down. And I didn't want to come in for this reason. But when it happened, there was just a massive hole, and they had interviewed a few people, and they were just trying to pick up all the shattered glass from him passing so suddenly. I mean, he did a lot for the company. It's amazing how much he did and how many people he talked to and helped every single day. So Skylar did everything in his power to try to take the reins and really keep control of this growing company. And it was draining him. And I went into their house one day. We were actually doing some work there. My company was doing some of their trim in one of the bedrooms they were remodeling. And so I went in to just check in on the guys and make sure everything was going well. And I see him sitting at his desk, and he was just defeated. Not defeated, because the man will never be defeated, but just drained, empty. I mean, his batteries were drained. His backup batteries were drained. And for me to see the hardest working person I've ever met look like that, it hurt me. And that's when it just hit me in the gut. And I'm like, you know what? I need to really think about this and pray on this. And I can't just push the idea of me coming to work here away. like I did for years. For years, I just said, no, 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 not an option. And now it was time to think about it. So I started thinking about it and I prayed on it a lot. And I talked to Hannah finally and shocked her because she didn't think I would ever want to be part of the company either because I vocalized it. I said no. So um,
Makes sense. I mean, why would you?
I talked to her because she's also very involved with the company too. So it's a decision that we need to make as a family. And are we going to be able to work together? Or is this going to have an effect on our relationship at home? Because balance is important, and that's something that I really try to express to people how much that quality of life and how much time is your most valuable asset, right? And you never know, especially with what we went through last year with Austin, you never know when your day's coming. And you need to spend time doing the stuff that makes you happy. And you got to have that balance, right?
You have to. I mean, I family's everything.
It is. And so I talked to Hannah about it, and she was on board. And so then next week I went and sat down and bombarded them at their house and just said, "Hey, can we sit down and talk?" And they're like, "Huh? Okay. About what?"
That's a little scary in there.
They had no clue. And so I sat down at the dining room table and just said, "Hey, I would like to put my name in the hat, and I would like to come work with the company," and shocked them very much. And so, yeah, that's how it all came to be.
Right? And you're doing a killer job, man. You guys are doing awesome.
Thank you. I'm doing everything I can to just pick up where Austin left off and just make as many friends as possible. I mean, that's what makes the world go round is relationships and people, right? The more people that you can help and the more people that you can touch every day, every week, it adds to the growth.
Yeah, I started reading this book here recently. I don't know if you've read it. It's called Who Not How. Have you read that book? Have you ever heard of this book?
I have not. I've heard of it, but I've not read it.
It is an awesome book. I mean, it just kind of goes over to, instead of trying to figure out how you can do stuff, like your time is better spent, who can do it for you. Well, it goes in this whole chapter about relationships being, there's two types of people. Your relationship's either transactional or it's transformative. And
Yes.
the relationships that last, that build $1 million companies, the one thing they have in common is transformative relationships, not transactional. You've got to give more than you get in a relationship. And if you go into any relationship with that mindset, it will come back tenfold.
Yep. Oh, 1,000,000%.
Yeah. And it's an awesome book. If you get the chance, I'm doing Audible, listening to it as I'm, doing stuff. And it's a pretty good book. So let's kind of go into surf prep. Let's just talk about surf prep now. I mean, I knew about surf prep when I got really into cabinets, and I would say probably 2016-ish is when I really dove in, nothing but cabinets. And I was in Oklahoma. There's not, northeastern Oklahoma, there's not a surf prep dealer. So could never really try it. So how long has surf prep been around?
So surf prep was started in 2008. And yeah, so it's been around since 2008. And when it first came out and Skylar first brought it to market, everything was done through industrial distributors. And so the main focus, customer base wise, was manufacturing. So furniture manufacturing, cabinet manufacturers, door manufacturers. And that was the first almost decade of surf prep and building the distribution across the country and working with all of our different distributors and their outside sales reps. Skylar and Adam West, our technician, spent years on the road. I mean, every day, every week in a different city, in a different state, riding along, educating people and helping people understand a new, different way. And process, again, is the most important thing in a business. And that's where Skylar and Adam have just really helped so many businesses throughout this country change and come up with an SOP and use different products to save money on time, on materials. As Skylar would say, he goes into a shop and every single shop he's ever been to is bleeding out the back. Somewhere in that shop, they are spending too much time and too much materials to get the job done, and they could be adding more to their bottom line. And it's just a matter of identifying, watching, observing, and making suggestions and having products that are different and being innovative. And that's
just thinking outside that box.
That's what Skylar is.
When I started doing SOPs for my guys, I was really, in the sanding, you just don't think about it. You're just like, sand it till it's smooth. It doesn't work like that.
How many times have you walked out there and seen somebody with an 80 grit and then they grab a piece of 220?
Yeah. Oh, so many times.
This one's smoother. This is good.
We had to go into like color coding. And that's what I think you guys at Surf Prep's done really well. You color code the pads with the grit, so it's easy. You don't really have to, if the numbers get worn off, you still know what the abrasive is, how hard it is. What the grit is. And then, the forgiveness of those 1/2-inch pads, man, those are game changers, bringing new people into the industry. Golly. So many less burn corners once you start using those things.
Not having to hand sand hardly any cabinet door ever is a big difference. And anywhere you can save even a few seconds in your process at the end of the day, at the end of the week, at the end of the month, at the end of the year, those seconds add up to hours and hours and hours. And every hour is a certain amount of money.
Profit.
Right?
Yeah.
It's profit. It's not going in your pocket. It's not going back into the company.
So I always assumed Surf Prep, and just because I'm looking at your hat, it was always meant like surface preparation.
It is.
Okay, now, it's just the California the surfboard came in. I'm just curious where the surfboard and the whole, because the whole company kind of has that, I don't want to say California vibe, but California vibe.
Yeah, we are Californians. Skylar was born in Massachusetts. Spent some time in Oklahoma as well, and then eventually moved out west into the desert here in California, a few hours off the coast. But we are Californians for sure. I'm an 8th generation Southern Californian.
Wow. So you're a lifer. You're not going anywhere.
Yeah, no, I'm not going anywhere. And everybody talks about, well, why do you live there? All the craziness and the chaos. Well, live in the right area and you don't have to deal with that as much. You can't escape it. You go to any major city, you go anywhere, it's everywhere. All we can try to do is make change in our local area and don't surround ourselves with people that operate and think that way. It's okay for people to think different, but don't be weird. It's okay to be different.
That needs to be a bumper sticker. It's okay to think different. Just don't be weird.
In fact, I'm actually going to, I don't know how, but I somehow just come up with things and I say stupid phrases and whatever. No filter moment.
That's all right. We can, I think it's a bumper sticker right there. It's okay to be different. Just don't be weird.
We might have to make a bumper sticker now. But I'm going to deliver a present tomorrow to Catalina Paint. And I have a very special custom banner that we made because when I sat down with their management team and just had an annual planning meeting back in January, I said something really ridiculous. And I don't know where it came from, but it was really funny and it had a huge impact. so much so that he took out his dry erase marker, went to the whiteboard, and wrote the phrase on the whiteboard and left it there for 2 months. And so I made him a banner with that phrase because that's what we do. It's okay to be different.
That's building those relationships, though. I mean, that's the key. I mean, remembering that stuff. That's to me. That's any business, not just this business, but any business is about is relationships and having fun. Like you can't take everything so serious.
Yeah, and that's one of the most amazing things about being part of this company is our company culture and the foundation that Skylar and Mary had built. The core values of of our company are what we operate by, and a lot of people don't understand what a core value is or what its purpose is. But it's who you are. It's your identity as a company. What's important to you, and
That's one of those
how are you how are
non-negotiables.
you, how are you going to operate and make decisions based on those core values? And one of ours is having fun. That's very important.
I don't think we've ever been to a show together that we have not had fun.
Oh no, that doesn't
And
happen.
yeah, we've done plenty of them, and there's always fun to be had.
Oh yes, work hard, play harder.
There you go. My
Again,
father-in-law, when he started a painting company in Vail back in the '70s, and they ski. They were huge skiers. They moved to Vail, and that was what they did all winter long or all summer long. They would paint, work their butts off. Mother-in-law worked in hotels, but it was just constant painting and working. And then winter come around, and they'd go spend 2 months in Mexico or the Bahamas and just save their money. Because he was a big, he'd always say, I worked vacation. He's 71. And he said, I retired a vacation. I mean, it's all about trips and having fun. I mean, and I grew up maybe taking one vacation a year and met my wife now. And if we don't take 3 trips a year, something is terribly wrong.
oh yeah,
And I got to
and
say, it's a lot better this way.
it is. Well, it's awesome that being in a position like this, I get to travel. I mean, that's one of my favorite things about this position is being able to go out and meet the amount of people that I get to meet and hopefully help so many more people than I was able to before. Um, Not that I wasn't helping people, but just not on the scale that I'm able to now. Now I'm able to reach so many more people across the country, visit so many new areas that I've never been to. I just got back from Detroit last week and Des Moines, Iowa. Never thought I would go to Des Moines, Iowa, but I've been there twice already, and
Yeah, who's in Des Moines, Iowa?
really cool city.
Yeah, well, that's good to know.
Yeah,
May have to try to get up that way.
yeah, check it out. I mean, it's a beautiful country. I mean, this place that we live in is incredible, and there's so many different types of terrains and so many different lifestyles.
There's just so much to see. I mean, the opportunities are endless. The last 2.5 years that I spent at CIC, the amount of relationships that I made and people got to go visit Seattle, San Francisco, multiple places in Florida, Denver. I mean, just the travel that you get to do and the people that you get to meet and just build those relationships year after year. It's just incredible.
The people we get to meet and learn from. Uh, I'm a sponge, just like what we put on our tools. I want to learn anything and everything from everyone. And I love to ask questions and just see a different side and a different mindset and mentality. Just because I see something one way doesn't mean it's right. Um, Ask, learn, talk to people. And that's what's awesome about this is really getting to see and talk to so many different people every day is really rewarding.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah, since I started doing the podcast, it's been really fun. You see a different side of the finishers, the paint store owners, like just hearing the stories, how they got into it, and then finding out well, if it was a necessity or if it was because they were bored, and just the journey that got them to where they are. Some of them are, you're just like, I would have never guessed in a million years. Like Denny's story. I mean, I was talking to Denny Jans Monday, and his story of how he got into painting was, almost got in a fight with a guy that was owning a restaurant and wanted to punch him in the face. And I'm like, I could never see Denny punching anybody. But
No.
Exactly. But you
Yeah.
hear his story, he's like choking a guy because he said something to him, and I'm going, what?
That was a different life, Jenny.
I mean, you're like, that's craziness.
I don't even know how that's possible.
I was floored. I was just like,
Yeah.
what?
Did he tell you about the fire station?
Well, that was one of the deals that I asked him because I was talking to him, and I would try to look at everyone and on their social media, and I was like, "You were a mayor and a firefighter." Like, I'm just blown away right now. There's so much history there.
Yeah. Oh, I was out there a month and a half ago, and I stayed through the weekend, and so I got to hang out with him. I got to spend some time. I actually stayed with Chad Thielen, is another great person that you definitely should have on here. Good friend and just a wealth of knowledge. But I went and hung out with Denny, and he's kind of given me a tour of his hometown, where he grew up. And we pull up into this little small town, and he parks in front of this empty lot. And he's like, "Well, here's my old shop." And I'm like, "Where?" He's like, "You see this grass field? That used to be my shop." I'm like, "Oh no, this is the place." Oh, it was pretty wild, but it's got to be really awesome to truly get to know people and their backgrounds. And
It's a lot of fun. I've been having a blast at it. I mean, just getting started, but it's still like, I mean, the endless stories that are out there. And, I think you and I are a lot alike. I can talk to people all day long. It's the funnest part of this business. Just talking to people.
It really is. Yeah. It sometimes doesn't even feel like work. I know I'm working, but it doesn't feel like it.
I'm the same way. So, I'm like, if I could figure out how to make sure I get paid doing this and make a little bit of money, this is pretty damn awesome. I can get behind this. So, we'll kind of kid on surf prep. What do you guys got coming out? I mean, like, what's new? What's hot? I mean, what are you guys getting ready to release? Anything special?
So yeah, we got a lot of stuff working on in the background. As you know, we've been.
What can you talk about?
So what I can talk about is a couple things that are already released just recently over the last couple months. We definitely have a couple new paper discs. So we have our new red paper disc that we just released that is not going to be taking over for our traditional yellow paper, but different use. So this is more of an overall general purpose sanding disc that is going to be on a heavier weight paper. So it's not going to tear as easily. And then the grain is a little bit different process in the way it's manufactured. So it's going to be more aggressive than the yellow paper. So more aggressive and not going to tear as easily because it's on the heavier weight paper. So it's a great new product. We have it in every size, but the most fun thing that we're doing with that is our new hole pattern that Skylar just created is a universal hole pattern that fits for the 5-inch disc. It fits every single sander on the market. So no matter what tool you have, this one disc will fit every 5-inch orbital sander hole pattern. And now you don't,
genius.
If you have those painters or finishers that have a couple different types of sanders, they don't have to go out and buy a box of this to fit this hole pattern, a box of this to fit this hole pattern. So, and then you're buying a couple different grits of each hole pattern, right?
Yeah, because you can't always find the net. Like, the net is really hard to find that you could put on anything. I mean, I had Festool, I had Merca, and Surf Prep. I mean, you had all three of them. So that'll be huge.
So that's going to be, and another fun thing that we finally just did is we have names for all of our abrasives. So ProFoam will still be ProFoam, but instead of calling them yellow paper or red paper, we actually had a whole company meeting and put it up on the whiteboard and offered prizes for whoever name got chosen, but we asked our entire surf prep team to just help us come up with names for each abrasive. So our new red paper will be called Riptide.
Okay, sticking on theme. I like it.
Yep, right. Our film is now going to be called Blizzard. Not quite surfing, but surfish on a snowboard. Similar concept. We have another new product that was just released, which is a very exciting product. We have our first ceramic disc. So our new White Lightning is a ceramic blend disc that is going to be the most aggressive in our arsenal. And with the ceramic grain, it stays sharper throughout the life of the disc. So incredible new product that we actually have 4 or 5 of our large OEM factories across the country that have been using this for the last 5-6 months and love it. Absolutely love it. They've switched their entire factory over to these the White Lightning discs.
When I think of White Lightning, I think of overproof rum from the Bahamas.
Yeah, as long as it's not Everclear. I had a bad experience in Oklahoma with Everclear. No thanks.
Those fraternities in Oklahoma.
Yeah, it was a thing. I spent a little bit of time there, all 6 months.
Well, that'll be interesting, ceramic. So, I mean, what's the average life running on that? Are you going up to the higher grits too?
So we are going up into the higher grits. So towards the end of this year and into next year, we're going to really start focusing on expanding our auto business. So we do have a couple of customers right now that work with a lot of auto shops, and we are in the process of getting some higher grits made. So those will be ready here in the next couple months. So we're going to go all the way up to a 3,000 grit in our film. So those will be coming out very soon. So we have the Riptide, we have Blizzard, White Lightning, and then the one I came up with that I'm very happy about.
A little worried, but
the screen. No, it's great. I mean, it fits perfectly with this. Is Shredder.
Shredder, I like it. Yeah. Screen, that's perfect. Yeah.
Shredder, White Lightning, Blizzard, Riptide.
So is it going to be like the Shredder series paper, the White Lightning series? So when someone says, hey, I need some, they're just going to call in and be like, yo, bro, I need some White Lightning.
Yeah. I got you. Let's go.
I like that. I mean, yeah, it is. I was actually talking to, it might have been Denny. It was either Denny or Rob out there in California. I had him on, and one of the things that a lot of the guys want from the manufacturers, one thing that they said is that, make it easier for us to order by, simplifying the number or giving it names, because it's just too hard.
It's very hard. And when you're working with industrial customers, they're using just certain items, right? And it's easy to remember 1 or 2, but when you're dealing with a full product line and there's all these different products, and we've been going through the same thing. And that's one of the biggest things that we've made huge leaps and bounds of improvements internally is with that. Getting our packaging all dialed in, getting our production times down, shipping orders out quicker, having labels and barcodes. It's something that was never necessary for us in the beginning stages of our company. And now that we're in retail stores, opening 2, 3, 4 stores every month, that's a necessary thing. So we've worked really hard this last year and gotten all of that dialed in. We have UPCs and barcodes, and that's something that, I mean, when I first came on board, that's what I started doing, is asking every one of our customers and distributors that we work with, where can we help? Where can we do things different? How can we do things better to help make your life easier? I don't want to be putting any extra effort or work on anybody. And that's something, like, even for me, with all the different coatings companies and the different numbers, it wrecked me, right? And
that's what they all say.
I've used coatings from every manufacturer practically out
I
there.
mean, like all of us. I mean, every one of them. CIC, Renner, Malaysia. It's all a bunch of numbers and letters, and to listen to them, try to explain it.
It's one thing for us to understand, but when you're running a company, right? My two finishers, as much as they care, they don't care and they don't order it and they don't remember. Order me another gallon of this. Order me a gallon. I need that. Like, and as you scale, it's hard to teach somebody that. So simplifying stuff like that is definitely important, and I know it's been a big thing for us.
Yeah, that's. I mean, that's kind of the whole theory behind the podcast is getting people talking about that stuff. Like what's going to make it easier on you, and you know what's something that the end users can do to make it easier on the manufacturers. Because I mean, the easier and smoother we make it, the better it is for all of us. You make more money, less stress, less problems. I mean, across the board, it makes it a lot easier. So that's awesome, man. I'm excited. So are you going to redo packaging and the name of it's going to be on all the packaging?
Yep. So all the packaging has been fully updated. And we're working on some other stuff right now with just all of our hand sanding products. So we're in a ton of stores all over the country now with our 3x4 and 5-inch and all the abrasives that go along with those. But we have a lot of different products. I mean, we have every sanding related product you could ever imagine. We are a cloth belt converter, so we make any size cloth belt. We have paper wide belts. We have two-sided sanding sponges. We have one-sided sanding sponges, and we have 4 different kinds of each of those. So we have something.
That's a lot of SKUs.
Some 1,800.
1,800 SKUs.
1,800 different items between our 2 warehouses. And we are simplifying a lot of that. And so Dixon Enterprises is our main corporation. And Skylar and Mary purchased that back in 2001. And they were one of their biggest distributors for Dixon. And another unfortunate life circumstance, the owner passed away, and the wife came to Mary and Skylar one day, and they had a very good relationship. And she just said, guys, I need to sell the company, and I need to do it on Monday. And this was a Friday afternoon. And she said, either you buy it or your biggest competitor is going to buy it.
That's a scramble of a weekend.
A huge speed bump in the road, and had to figure out how to navigate that. And they managed to pull it all together and figure it out, and ended up buying Dixon. And Dixon Abrasives is the company that invented the 1-inch sanding block back in the 1970s. So the 1-inch rectangular sanding block was invented by our company, essentially. And that's where, when Skylar took that over, he was still running Ferry Industrial Supply. So he was an industrial supplier, sold Mohawk, General Finishes, 3M tape. He was actually one of the biggest Festool dealers in Southern California. And when he took that over, that's when the idea came to him, man, why don't I take something with this foam abrasive and figure out how to put it on a tool? So that's when he started working with people, figuring out how to develop a product like this. And 2006, 2007 is when he finalized it, and then started Surf Prep in 2008. So
that's an impressive journey.
We have every type of abrasive imaginable under the Dixon line, but as our company Surf Prep is growing and people know the name Surf Prep, we're rebranding some of those products and making some changes, like we just did with the 1-inch block. So the 1-inch block is where we color coordinated them. We've had our rad pads, which are the one-sided sanding sponges that are all color coordinated for years. I mean, we've had those for a long time. And so we decided, you know what, why don't we start doing that with the 1-inch blocks? And now we're working on the two-sided sponge as well. So all those are going to be color coordinated, and it's good, just easy to identify, right?
Yeah.
Everything.
That's a huge, when you get into SOP creation for a manufacturer, color coding is a game changer for an hourly employee that you hire to sand cabinets. I mean, that's just life changing.
It is. And I mean, the main focus behind that and the result of it is being able to easily identify somebody using the wrong thing. So if you walk into your job site, or if you walk into your sanding station in your shop and you look across the room and you see that person using a gray block, well, that's a medium block. Why are you using a medium to sand your primer? No. No. Don't do that. Don't do that. Right. So being able to hold people accountable easier. So we're getting all those dialed in. The blocks are already out. The rad pads we've had. The new sponges will be out here in the next month or two. And then the next fun thing that we're doing is getting into drywall.
I have seen those teasers. Yeah, that one's got me interested.
So we are working on a prototype tool that will be sometime, maybe end of the year, into 2025, possibly.
So you will have the tool as well.
In time, yes.
Nice.
Don't hold me to when. We do a lot of research,
Yeah,
and
you
we
have to.
really want to make sure that we're coming out with an incredible quality product that's going to help people. So that will be coming down the line, but in the interim, we're going to release all of the abrasives. So we're going to be launching Pro Foam for the drywall sanders, and it will fit any drywall sander that's currently out there on the market.
Because it's going to have that same universal attachment.
So it's going to be a center hole circle. So you got the disc here, and then it's going to have a center hole that is going to go on the perimeter around the holes for any tool. So I've already purchased one of the other brands tools and tested it, and it's a night and day difference. Having a foam backed abrasive for that.
For the wall, I mean, just if you're doing a level 5 or doing some knockdown of.
Yeah, you have some bullnose corners. You have an inside corner, right? Like you have a rounded wall. Like in my house here, I have rounded walls on the staircase.
Yeah, that's huge. I used Merkins when they came out with it. It was good, but the holdup was the abrasive. I mean, that was, to me, that was the downfall because it was only paper or net.
In certain areas, it just doesn't quite work. So, yeah, those will be out here in the next 2 to 3 months, and then we're gonna have a flat abrasive as well, a disc abrasive.
That's going to be good. I mean, that's kind of rounding you guys out from cabinet to interior painting, which is a good, easy transition for you guys to make in the retail world. Because if you're buying paper for cabinets, why not use the same equipment, the same vacuum? You know the red backed abrasives. Just use it for the drywall.
Yep, because we punch and produce all the different shapes and sizes and hole patterns in house. We have the ability of doing anything. So anytime anybody has an idea, bring it to us. There's a very good chance we can make it happen. That's what we've done for many, many years, and what Skylar has done, and why we have 1,800 SKUs. Because if somebody needs help, we want to help.
I mean, solving problems is to me the easiest route in any type of manufacturing. If you can find a problem, identify a problem, and then solve it for someone, the sales just going to pour in. Like, you don't have to do. People just want problem solved. That's all they want. If you run a business based on solving problems, coming up with solutions, sales are easy.
Exactly. And listening to people, right? Asking questions and making making change happen.
Yeah, that's agreed. Yeah.
And change is hard. Believe me. I mean, we've had a lot of change within our company, and it's frustrating, and it's hard for some of the people to understand why we have to change and why we need to do things differently as we scale. But that's the reality of it. That's life. Nothing is ever the same. Um, I mean, it can be, but I guarantee you the weather's going to be different tomorrow. Um, Nothing will stay the same. Nothing will stay.
You got to adapt. I mean, kind of leaning on that, we've all had to adapt. Different times, COVID, business, pivot. I mean, you never know. Business can be one thing and it can end up being something else. You plan on selling widgets and somehow someone needs a wingding and you end up selling wingdings and make a lot of money at it. I mean, you have to be able to pivot in business. So, like, what would be, if you've got guys listening, and we're going to have listeners that, either wanting to start in the manufacturing side or even painters, because you've got, I mean, you and I are kind of that weird unicorn in this world that we've been on both sides. It doesn't happen very often, but when you've got that experience on both sides, so from that perspective, what's like a piece of advice that you would give to someone out there looking to level up or get started in this business? What's something a mistake that you made, or a piece of advice that you got that's worth paying it forward?
Yeah. So don't be afraid to invest in your business. That is one of the biggest struggles that I had. And I was still able to be successful, but I didn't want to invest in hiring somebody else. And it wasn't necessarily money, right? Investing isn't just monetary. It was my time, right? And don't ever think that you can't do something, or don't prevent yourself from doing something because it's hard, right? Don't allow yourself to get in your own way. Nobody cares. Work harder, right? I just read the book Endure by Cameron Haynes, and that's just one of my favorite things right now. Nobody cares. Work harder. Just do it, right? And that's something that I constantly got in my way, and I didn't invest. I invested in tools, I invested in people, but I didn't invest my time into training somebody else to do some of the things that I wasn't good at.
Yeah, that's like that book. Yeah, Find the Who.
I'm not a big social media person, and I don't go on Facebook and Instagram very often by choice. I just don't like it. I'd rather go climb a tree.
Rather gouge my ears out with a spoon. I mean, my eyes, but
rather go ride my bike for 16 hours a day for 10 days straight. Do something weird.
Well, I mean, that's good advice. I mean, just work harder. I mean, it doesn't matter who's watching. Work harder and don't quit. It's going to get tough always, but
there's no problems. There's only solutions.
Yeah, one of my favorite guys says, "Don't quit. If you just don't quit, you will outlast 60% of the people that start businesses just by simply not quitting."
Yeah.
All right. Well, see, I told you, you wouldn't even think about it, and an hour in, you're like, "What happened?"
Wow.
Everyone's like, "I don't know if we can talk for 45 minutes every time," and this is what happened.
Yep. Well, we're having fun.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it's about. So we'll be on the tail end of it. I know you got other stuff to do, but I mean, what I always like to, and I know this, but I don't think many of our listeners will know this. Outside of surf prep, what's Chad's passion? Like, what do you like to do?
Adventure. Very much adventure. Any and all kinds. I'm down for anything extreme. Just go for it. You never know till you try.
Knew you were going to say that. Yeah, you are one of the most extreme guys. How many marathons have you done now?
I've never done a marathon, only an Ironman. I've done 4 half Ironmans. I just did one 2 weeks ago.
How was that? How'd it go?
It was really awful. I have a really, really big piece of advice for anybody who wants to do one, which I highly encourage everybody to just do it, because you can do it. But my bit of advice is train before, because I didn't on this one and it hurt.
You were probably held up for the next couple of days.
Oh yeah, for like 2 days I didn't walk, and then actually by day 3 I was okay. Day 4 I had to go to Detroit, so I had to be better. But no, it was, that last one was a bit of a struggle without training, being gone as much as I have been on purpose. We have a lot of customers, and I really want to get out and meet a lot of these customers that I haven't met yet. I've been doing this for almost a year, and there's a lot of people I still haven't met. And Austin had a lot of different people that he talked to over the 4.5, 5 years that he was with Surf Prep. I mean, he was here for a long time. So I've been hitting the road really hard, and from middle of February till end of March, about a month and a half, I was gone straight home for a couple days. I went five.
How many distributors are you guys up to now?
Overall, between paint stores and industrial distributors, we have about 160.
Wow, that's impressive. God, 160 distributors. Whew. That's a lot of distributors. And that's not even probably stores. If you add multiple stores into that, it's just gonna.
Some of our locations, some of our different dealers have 8, 9 stores with product. So that's not accounting. I actually haven't looked at the report to see what we're at, but I think I know we're over 100 retailers now. And I think we're about 107, 108 retailers. So, and that sector is opening and just very much expanding and growing. And that's my passion, is working with the paint stores, right? I was a painter. I was the guy standing behind the counter waiting for you to mix his colors and forgetting to order 2 days ahead.
Exactly. That was always the big thing when I had my company. And then when I got the opportunity to go spend some time at CIC and work for them, and that's one thing that I was really emphatic about pushing, was giving an industrial grade product in your local paint store, because that movement is starting now, and it's well into the way. But 5 years ago, it was impossible. And if you wanted to better yourself as a painter, and you're in a small town that doesn't have a big industrial dealer, you were stuck using architectural coatings and
whatever you could get,
the Home Depot wallpaper, or local hardware, big box hard paper or sandpaper, and you couldn't step your game up. Now, with you guys and the other manufacturers out there, coatings, equipment, Tritech, CIC, Renner, taking the industrial stuff into the paint store, man, it's changing those guys, but it's also changing the industry for the better, for sure.
Oh, it is. It's really elevated people's games and what they're bringing to the homeowner. Because think about what you're doing for the homeowner, right? When you use these box store coatings that look great when you're done, but a month later, when Miss Jones had too much to drink one night and takes her fork and starts stabbing the cabinet, it's not gonna. Which that actually happened to me one time. This lady told me, "This paint doesn't hold up." And she takes a fork and she's like, when I'm unloading the dishwasher, like if I accidentally hit it, and takes the fork and whacks the cabinet. I'm looking at her going, whoa, you can't do that.
We had a customer that we had a wood top, and the same thing. It was like this wood top, it doesn't really hold up to anything. I know you guys varnished it, but we had a party the other night. We were drunk, and I spilled a whole bottle of Blanton's on it, and it just peeled up the finish. And I'm like, well, yeah, it's like 80 proof alcohol, bro.
Did you wait till the next day to clean it up? Yeah. Yeah, but it's our job to educate them. And I mean, that's what I did in my business when I was painting, is I made sure every person I went out and gave an estimate to, I educated them and I gave them little bits of information that they're not going to know. I mean, they have their job and they're great at what they do, but paint is very technical and there's a lot to it. Paint is not just paint. And you don't know until you know. And you don't know until somebody teaches you. So I made a point of it. Every customer, educate them, let them make the decision. Here's some options, and I'll give you whatever you need and whatever you want, whatever accommodates your budget and your lifestyle. But there are options out there.
Yeah, there's, a million options. What I hated was color consoles. I would never recommend a color.
That's when I got the job every time, because I'd sit there for an hour and a half and just go through it and suck it up. And
those were the rough ones to me, because I'm not just by nature, like, to me, I'm an earth tones and natural. Like, I'm ready for stained wood to come back. And it was, let's look at the black. Let's look at the four different khakis or the whites. That was always the rough one to me, because I'm like, I'll paint a pink and purple. I don't care.
Yeah. The only one that ever really bothered me was the whites. And when people just cannot make up their mind, I would get a little frustrated.
And they all all 6 colors they're choosing look the exact same.
Lady, this is the same. There's no difference. Just go pure white. It's fine.
Let me pour it out of the bucket and paint it, and we'll be fine. You'll never know the difference.
Yeah, it's done. It's done.
Oh, man. Well, I won't keep you too much longer. For those of you out there that don't know Surf Prep, probably been living under a rock, but go check him out on social media. It's at Surf Prep, right?
At Surf Prep Sanding. At
Surf Prep Sanding. Check him out on Instagram, Facebook. Are you guys on TikTok?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, they're on TikTok. I can't get on that one. That one is one I've just never downloaded, never got on. So
that's the one I will go on, and I can get lost in that. Just funny videos. I like to watch stupid, funny videos. People falling and eating it, or
those rabbit holes you get down on those things, man. It gets ugly. Even on Instagram, man, you get in those reels. Oh, golly, it suck you in. They've got that algorithm real good.
They do. You can't even talk about it. Now next time I open it, I'm going to get a prank. First thing I open, I guarantee it. They're listening.
100%. It's already building up, getting all the notifications right now. So yeah, everybody go check out Surf Prep. I mean, find your local distributor with 100. I mean, you guys, congrats to you guys for all the hard work. I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you for having me.
No, anytime. Well, I plan on trying to get Skylar and Mary on too. I'd love to, have them come on and let everybody meet them and hear their perspective on the industry as well. But it was awesome. Everybody, thank you for listening. We'll have another episode next Monday, and we'll talk to everybody soon.
And that's a wrap on this episode of the Bearded Finisher Podcast. We thank everyone for joining. Keep hustling, keep learning, and never settle for anything less than your best. Remember, the path to perfection is a journey, not a destination. Until next time.